Guys, and welcome to another F1 2020 video. In this race I'm in a lobby hosted by Daniele Haddad, and we are going to go around Zandvoort for this first race. I'm starting P1, and as the lights go out I get a pretty good start, and so does the Mercedes behind me, but I managed to keep P1 as the Ferrari dive bombs into the first corner, so that's going to give me some breathing space in this first lap, and I'm actually using overtake to pull ahead of the guys behind. As you can see, I'm already 9 tenths clear of them, but as we cut to lap 3, they caught up to me and they're 2 tenths behind me. Both of them are in a Mercedes. And as you can see, one of them actually tries to overtake me going into that corner. I don't think there was contact, but he spun out. And the guy behind me is 6 tenths behind, but I'm still going to have to use overtake and rich mix to keep him behind, because with DRS and the slipstream and with the use of overtake, he can still overtake me pretty easily. As Daniele Haddad actually runs the fastest lap of the race, over 2 seconds faster than my fastest lap was. And as you can see, he's already in P4 and catching up to us. He's 7 seconds behind me. If we keep that gap in mind, we can see how much he gained on me in these 1.5 laps. As the guy behind me is really close, he was faster than me throughout the whole race, but he couldn't overtake me because this track doesn't really support overtaking. If you manage to accelerate in the right corners, then they can't really overtake you. It's important to get this section right of the lap, and then you can't be overtaken, because other sections are just make it impossible to overtake. As the guy behind actually sticks behind me really well, and he's only 4 tenths behind me, but maybe he ran out of ERS because he couldn't manage to overtake me. He only gained a tenth, which in the previous game this would have been very different, because I'm certain that they actually nerfed slipstream and the DRS, and that makes overtake a tactical thing to use, and it's really important to save ERS, but at the same time know when to use it. And as you can see, it's on the 5th lap. He actually gained 1.5 seconds already on me, and the guy behind still pretty much behind me, really close, but still can't overtake me in this really short straight, this DRS zone. But he is really close, and he can actually slipstream past me before the finish line. Let's see if he's going to be able to do that. And no, I don't think so. I actually won this race, and it felt pretty good to win in a lobby like this. I know this is a track where it's hard to overtake, and I was starting from the front, but it still felt really good. As you can see here, the podium celebrations with Red Bull and Adrian Newey. So to the next race now, which was another one from this lobby, and I actually forgot to record the start. But as you can see, it's on the first lap. The guys behind me are still pretty close. Unfortunately, the guys ahead managed to pull out a relative big gap, but I'm going to get even lonelier, because the guys behind me are going to make a mistake coming into this corner, or they just battling, and that's going to slow them down. as I actually get a bad exit, but I use overtake and rich mix to pull a 1 second gap to them. And as we can already see, Daniele Haddad has overtaken one of them. This is only the second lap, but as you can see, he only managed to overtake the other guy right now. He's 3 seconds behind me, but that's a gap again which we have to keep an eye on. Already in this in this chicane, he gained 3/10 on me and another 1/10 in the first Lesmo and another one on the second one. And actually by the end of the lap, he's 1.6 seconds behind me, which is a pretty big difference, especially in a track where there are very few corners. As you can see, 1.1 seconds behind me. He actually closes that gap, so he's within 1 second, but he wasn't in the activation zone, so that still leaves me with a bit of breathing space. But I'm going to get a bad exit of Ascari, and he's right behind me. I'm using overtake and bridge to stay ahead, but maybe that wasn't the best idea, and I should have let him pass so I can have DRS on this start-finish straight, because as you can see, he can just pass me with ease on this track. Or actually, not quite, because I'm using overtake, but he's much more confident under braking and he easily takes the place. I tried to go for the better exit, but I only caught up to him in this second chicane and I messed up my exit. So that's going to ruin my chances of beating him on track, but I don't think that would have been possible anyways, because he's so much faster than me. I managed to stick behind him, but that's mainly down to DRS and using overtake and rich. As you can see, 6/10 behind. That's a pretty good thing, I think, to be able to stick behind an esports driver. So I was proud of myself in this moment. As you can see, he was still faster, 8/10 faster than me on this last lap. But that made me proud, as actually we are going to cut to another race without the start, but as you can see, still on the first lap. And I think this is almost the whole race without cutting, because this is a really exciting race. As you can see, fighting for the podium again. These cars have so much downforce in these high-speed corners. You can actually take this corner in 8th gear flat out, unlike in last year's game. But as you can see, I mess up these corner combinations and I fall behind. So I'm not in a position to overtake the guy ahead. And as we cut, because they actually started battling, and that's going to slow them down so I can catch up to them. A pretty big gap ahead, but it's going to go down because they are going side by side into this corner. And now I have to focus on my exit to try to overtake one of them, but they are still pretty far ahead of me. And as you can see, this is going to be some amazing action. Going into this corner, side by side, guy ahead actually takes the position, but then they are still going side by side, but the Red Bull slots in behind. And as you can see, that's going to slow them down, so I can still keep up with them, because I think otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. But if you look at the gap behind me, that's going to go down just as fast as the gap ahead, because I'm going to get involved in this. They are actually touching each other and it's all over the place, as I have a really good exit, but I didn't get enough space, or I wasn't confident with the space he gave me, and I actually go on that bump. And now I am really close to them, but the guy behind was actually top the Williams ahead. And again, and back then I thought he just spun out because he applied too much throttle, but now I can see that I actually tapped him, and that was the thing that sent him off. I'm really sorry for that. I would have slowed down if I thought it was my fault. But now focusing on second place, because that dirty overtake gave me the opportunity to really fight for this podium position, or second position, because I would have been fighting for the podium instead. Yes. Now you can see I'm trying to focus on my exit, and I managed to get pretty close, and I'm actually trying really hard here, but again, the DRS and slipstream aren't as good as they were in last year's game, but I still have to focus on ahead and behind at the same time, as I actually go a bit off track, and that's going to compromise my exit. But I still managed to be pretty close, stay pretty close to the guy ahead, as we are actually catching the leader when I almost tapped him, going into this second or third corner. Again, trying to go for the better exit, but I didn't manage to do so, and that's going to give the guy behind a great opportunity to attack me. And he doesn't try to this time, but he's still really close to me, and he actually gets an amazing exit out of this corner. But I'm going to attack back right away using overtake and reach, and we are going to almost go side by side, as he actually slots in behind me before the corner. But now I can focus back on ahead, as he still is really close, but the gap is about even right now. Still, and as he actually gets overtaken, as you can see, green sectors, so this fighting didn't really affect my lap time that badly. I think these are pretty slow race laps. This isn't a fast pace. I think in the 27s that would be fast, because the 28s were possible in last year's game. Pretty much it was, I wouldn't say it was easy, because I could only really manage the 29s, but the really fast guys were running in the 28s. So I think I should be able to do 27 race laps. But focusing on the race ahead, I actually follow him off the track, but still trying to get this good exit to have any chance of overtaking on this last lap, because as you can see, the guy behind has the fastest lap. That's pretty much going to tell us he's probably the fastest guy on the track, as I'm actually really trying to get close, but the gap on the delta seems small, but it actually is pretty big if you look at it that way. Now I have to focus on my defense, as I actually ran out of ERS by the end of this race. But as you can see, it's the last lap. We pretty much caught up to the leader. The Red Bull even tries to overtake him in this last chicane. And that's going to be P3. And that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. And I see you in the next one.